Hi everyone, this is M.B.B.S nerd, and in this video I'll be talking about Hodgkin's lymphoma. So let's begin. Now this Hodgkin's lymphoma is characterized by basically it arises in a single chain of nodes and spreads contiguously. I mean, if I take these chain of lymph nodes which are connected to each other, then this lymph node will not go aberrantly to some other lymph node. It will only spread to that lymph node which is anatomically beside it or contiguous to it. And also there are presence of neoplastic giant cells called the Reed-Steinberg cells. So these are the characteristic Reed-Steinberg cells which are seen in Hodgkin's lymphoma, and it is not seen in any other lymphoma. All the other lymphomas which I was talking about in my previous videos, they are non-Hodgkin lymphoma. They belong to non-Hodgkin lymphoma, but Hodgkin lymphoma, just because of the presence of these Reed-Steinberg cells and some special characteristics, they have been grouped into another class. Now, if I talk about the Hodgkin's lymphoma and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma difference, so here the extranodal presentation is rare. By extranodal presentation, I mean that there is no splenomegaly and hepatomegaly. Also, the extranodal presentation here in non-Hodgkin lymphoma is commonly seen. Here we see Reed-Steinberg cells, and here we don't see Reed-Steinberg cells. Also, the axial group of lymph nodes are most commonly involved. By axial, I mean the axillary lymph nodes or the mediastinal lymph nodes which are present in the mediastinum, and there is no involvement of the axial group of lymph nodes in non-Hodgkin lymphoma. Also, there is a contiguous spread to the lymph nodes. Just like I told you that if these are group of axial lymph nodes which are anatomically adjacent to each other, then the Hodgkin's lymphoma will stereotypically first it will spread here, then it will go to this anatomically adjacent lymph node, and then it will go here. So it has a very stereotypic spread, and the Waldeyer ring and mesenteric lymph nodes are involved in non-Hodgkin lymphoma. But here Waldeyer ring and mesenteric lymph nodes are rarely involved, not seen. Now if I talk about the types, then there are basically 5 types of non-Hodgkin lymphoma. These 4 have a lot in common, but here this nodular lymphocyte predominance is a different, you can say it is a type of Hodgkin lymphoma, but it is a different from all these 4 types. So there is the nodular sclerosis, the mixed cellularity, lymphocyte rich and lymphocyte depleted, and then finally the nodular lymphocyte predominance. Now let us talk about the different type of cells which we see in Hodgkin's lymphoma. So here this is the classic RS cells where we see a binucleate appearance, and this is also called the owl's eye appearance. And then we see the mononuclear cell which is also called the Hodgkin cell, and then in some types we see the lacunar cell in which we have the water clear cytoplasm. And then this is the mummified cell variant, which here you will see a pycnotic nucleus and a shrunken nucleus. Basically this cell is dying, so this is the mummified cell variant. And the anaplastic pleomorphic variant, which is also seen in some Hodgkin types of Hodgkin lymphoma. And then there's the lymphocyte predominant cell or the popcorn cell, which is commonly seen in this nodular lymphocyte predominance type of Hodgkin lymphoma. So let's talk about the pathogenesis of Hodgkin's lymphoma. How does this occur? So the cell, when the scientists were researching about Hodgkin's lymphoma and when they saw the immunoglobulin segments, then they saw that the cell of origin was a germinal center or a post-germinal center B cell. And the interesting thing was that these cells were not expressing B cell markers. So what is exactly happening? We have tried to put together a hypothesis which explains that basically these germinal center B cells, what happens is that they fail to produce immunoglobulin due to apoptosis. And if this cell is affected by an Epstein-Barr virus which expresses latent membrane protein, or there are some loss of function mutations in TNF alpha protein, this all mutations rescue this this germinal center B cell which is undergoing apoptosis. And because it's these all mutations cause the upregulation of this nuclear transcription factor, which ultimately lead to the survival of these cells, and accusation of some unknown mutations which we still have not been able to find out leads to the formation of this Reed-Steinberg cell. So these Reed-Steinberg cells also, this image here shows that how these Reed-Steinberg cells are very clever at evading the immune response and maintaining a harmony around all the cells so that they can be present there without any disturbance. So what we see is that this Reed-Steinberg cells, this image has been taken from Robbins, and we see that they secrete interleukin 10s which suppress the Th helper 1 T helper type 1 responses, and they also secrete the PD-L1 ligand, which suppresses the cytotoxic T cells and prevent these cytotoxic T cells from killing this tumor cell. And also, as you can see, that it is also enhancing the responses of these T regulatory cells, which are known to suppress the immunity. So it is so clever at evading the immunity. Also, it is maintaining a harmony around these macrophages and this, you can say, the the eosinophils, which ultimately is leading to this, this harmonious environment which has been created by the interleukin secreted by this Reed-Steinberg cells. Also, it is secreting some tumor necrosis factors, which is also causing the fibrosis of the environment around it. That is why fibrosis is also seen. Now let us talk about the morphology, cellular morphology, and the morphology of different types of Hodgkin lymphoma. So here there is the nodular sclerosis type. So what we see are the frequent lacunar cells with few diagnostic RS cells and background infiltrate of T cells and eosinophils. And also we see fibrous collagenous band dividing the lymph nodes. And here the CD15 and CD30 is positive. Let me tell you one thing, that for all these four types of Hodgkin lymphoma, we will see that the CD15 and CD30 is positive. So what are these lacunar cells? Just like I talked to you about, that these lacunar cells have a clear watery cytoplasm. So this is most commonly seen in the nodular sclerosis, and RS cells are very few, and the patients are generally young adults. If I talk about mixed cellularity, then there are frequent mononuclear cells and RS cells, and both are mixed. As you know, the name suggests there is mixed cellularity. So we see both the mononuclear and Reed-Steinberg cells. The mononuclear cell look like this and the RS cell is just like this. And here the peak is in young adults and adults older than 55. Basically, it has a biphasic type of distribution. If I talk about lymphocyte rich type of Hodgkin lymphoma, then there are frequent mononuclear cells and diagnostic RS cells in the background, but the infiltrate is rich in T lymphocytes. That is what makes it different. That is why it has been called lymphocyte rich, and it is seen in older male adults. Here you can see in nodular sclerosis that EBV is negative, and here in mixed cellularity we see the presence of Epstein-Barr virus in 70% of the cases, and here we see Epstein-Barr virus is positive for 40% of the cases. And the lymphocyte depletion type, in which there is depletion of the lymphocytes, we don't see a background of T lymphocytes. Here we see the reticular variant or the mummified variant of the Hodgkin cell. So here you can see this mummified cell variant, which I talked about, having the pycnotic nuclei and having a shriveled cell membrane. Basically it is dying. It looks like an apoptotic. It has an apoptotic features. What happened is that this lymphocyte depletion type is seen commonly in patients who are HIV infected, and in very older patients, or those patients in which the Hodgkin cell lymphoma has progressed to a very end stage disease. If I talk about the nodular lymphocyte predominance, then frequent LNH cells or popcorn cells are seen in the background of dendritic cells and reactive B cells. And this is where the game changes, because you don't see CD15 and CD30 positive, and the Epstein-Barr virus is also negative. And what we see are the B cell markers being positive in this. And this is the exception to this, this Hodgkin's lymphoma rule which we applied here, that we will see that these cells are not expressing the B cell markers. That is why, this has been kept separately. So this is presenting in young males and presents as cervical or axillary lymphadenopathy. Now if I talk about the clinical features, then the patient presents with fever, night sweats, a very, very constitutional type of symptoms, weight loss and painless lymphadenopathy. And there is a depressed T cell response, as you know, because of the crosstalk by the RS cells with these T cells. And the spread of these tumor cells is very stereotypic. Like first they spread into the lymph nodes contiguously, and then this spread to the spleen, leading to splenomegaly, and then to the liver. Generally, it is identified in this stage. That is why we don't see splenomegaly or hepatomegaly in the later stages. Now, if I talk about the staging, which is very crucial for determining the prognosis of Hodgkin's lymphoma, then we use the Ann Arbor classification. Here, if we say that the tumor is at stage 1, then there is involvement of a single lymph node or a single extra lymphatic organ only. If there is, if we talk about the stage 2, then there is involvement of 2 or more lymph nodes on the same side of the diaphragm, or localized involvement of the extra lymphatic organ. And if I talk about the stage 3, then involvement of lymph nodes on both sides of the diaphragm, and with or without localized involvement to an extra lymphatic organ. And if I talk about the stage 4, then there is diffuse involvement of 1 or more extra lymphatic organs. So basically, when the Hodgkin, when the tumor has progressed or spread to all one or more like extra lymphatic organs, and there is diffuse involvement, not a localized involvement, and this is what means that the prognosis is very poor and the metastasis has occurred. So if I talk about the prognosis, then prognosis is generally good after chemotherapy and radiotherapy. But patients, what happened is that these patients are cured of Hodgkin lymphoma, but then they present with some other malignancy due to this chemotherapy and radiotherapy. As you know, they are very carcinogenic and mutagenic, chemotherapy and radiotherapy. That is why they cure or they kill the Hodgkin cells very easily, but they present or they cause some malignancy in some other organ, like like the melanoma and lung cancer. And if I talk about the treatment, then yes, we use these PD-L1 and PD-L2 inhibitors, which are very effective, and we see that the patients are, they go in remission in 90% cases. So here, as you can see, that this PD-L1 ligand is shown to the cytotoxic T cells, and this suppresses the cytotoxic T cell response. So basically, we use the inhibitor of this ligand, then cytotoxic T cell can easily kill this Hodgkin cell or the tumor cell. That is why this gives a very good, highly effective treatment when we use this PD-L1 and PD-L2 inhibitors. So I have talked about Hodgkin's cell lymphoma. So if you like this video, give a thumbs up, comment down the comment section, and please subscribe. I will see you in the next one. And please do like and comment, because this motivates me to produce more videos. So I will see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye.